I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everyone, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. This is the preview for Liverpool versus West Ham, a game where we just never seem to win in Liverpool for a hell of a long time. And I am joined by Jack, all the way over from Anfield Road TV. Jack, how are you doing, man?
Thank you, most importantly, for having me on, mate. Really do appreciate it. I'm not too bad, mate. Just saying off camera there, but plodding on, as always. But thank you, most importantly, for having me on, mate. And hopefully we do see a good game at the weekend. Well, tomorrow.
Yeah, I will say one thing. Last season, it was a mixed bag. I've done a little bit of research before I come on. You beat us 1-0 at your gaff, and it was quite a tight game. And I remember Mane got the goal for you lads. And then at West Ham, it was a 3-2 classic where like it just seemed like it was just all going off. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we end up getting the win. How do you see tomorrow night's game going for both sides?
Trepidation, really, mate, in terms of, obviously, you've probably watched from an outside point of view, all the Hammers. Liverpool being really under par in terms of the expectations we've seen. But it's the thing, you don't go into football games. And this Liverpool team, I think this season, don't know how you felt, mate, from an outside point of view, we've too much arrogance at the beginning of the season. And especially with arrogance and not enough running. The running statistics, Liverpool, especially against the Fulham as well. That Man United team is very poor in a lot of areas. Yes, they've got good individual players, but when you're getting outrun by a Manchester United side, and the biggest game of our calendar season, really, against them lot, and we got it against Manchester City, but this season it's been stop and start on quite a lot of occasions. We had the last week, even the game against Napoli. Everyone goes, yes, it's Rangers. It is Rangers, no respect to them. But the quality within the Premier League from a lot of teams, even your lot as well, and Brighton when they come to Anfield a couple of weeks ago as well. So, yeah, I'm never counting my chickens any game that we're going into this season, mate, because you never know. And that's the beauty of the Premier League. Everyone can beat everyone. And yes, you can talk about records, but records are there to be broken. But at the end of the day, if Liverpool don't turn up tomorrow, I think I'll be deeply disappointed. Hoping they do. And I said, the massive impact, and I'm probably quite annoyed, really, with I go to game quite regular in terms of last season, the last couple of seasons as well. And I'm lucky enough going tomorrow, and I'm hoping the atmosphere is exactly what we did have against Manchester City. It's been very under par, and that probably ties in, Jay, doesn't it, in terms of when you are seeing your team performing on the pitch, it trickles on through the stands as well. So hopefully we do get the crowd will be uproary. I know that, but I'm excited, mate. Especially off the back of the City result. Yeah. Good.
Is it the best time to play Liverpool, Jack? In your opinion, like, because for me, you've got massive injury problems. Like I see, Jota's out, Diaz is out. I see Trent come back. As a West Ham fan, I look at tomorrow's game and I think it's a free hit for West Ham. West Ham should go there and attack Liverpool, right? And I think playing Manchester City, that would have drained the life out of them on Sunday. And then to go and play us, I'm saying that we've got injuries at the back, and I will say that. But is it a good time to play Liverpool with the personnel you got at the minute?
Yes and no, mate. In terms of, as I said, alluded to the stop-start nature of Liverpool in terms of the season. Darwin Núñez, as you said, mate, Luis Diaz, Jota's not going to be playing tomorrow, neither is Luis Diaz. Both of them will be out for, looking like Jota's going to be out for 3 to 4 months, which is probably going to be massive, especially if we didn't have Darwin Núñez, a couple of the attacking options, really. But as he said, I think the main key for Liverpool is in terms of how we approach this game. You know, there's not many teams that come to Liverpool or Anfield and play the way they do. Expansive football. I think City and probably Arsenal and certain other teams in the Premier League and around Europe have got the quality, really, in terms of squad to do and play on the front foot. It's a completely different game, as it always is the case, mate. It's going to be difficult, like it was last season. When we went away, we were poor. Absolutely shocking in defence, but capitalised on our frailties and our inability, really, to close the spaces as well. And Jared Bowen had the bloody whole of London Stadium to run through.
Yeah, I remember that game.
There was literally our defence part of like the Red Sea, mate. You probably watched it as well. It's like so much space, and yeah, it is, yes, probably the best, as I said. The inconsistency from Liverpool this season has been really poor. Very rare that has happened in the last 3 to 4 seasons. We've been so accustomed to really Liverpool winning every single game, mate. But yeah, it probably is, mate. As you mentioned, Trent. I anticipate we'll get on to starting 11s, maybe a little bit later, but I anticipate Trent. I don't want to be risking him. I'm hoping Milner plays right back. If Trent is fit to be on the bench, leave him on the bench, because I think Milner done a good job against Man City.
Yeah, I'm with you. Before I do get into sort of like the managers, what has been your assessment from an outside looking at West Ham this season? Because for me, as a West Ham fan, it's been a mixed bag for West Ham. Some games we've dominated teams and we just can't score a goal. Other games, I feel like we've got away with it. The fan base is very 60-40 at the minute with the Moyes thing. Some of them think he's too defensive. He plays like Sam Allardyce ball. Others think you've got to give him the credit where credit's due because of what he's done. How do you see it as a Liverpool fan looking at West Ham?
Spoke to you over the last couple of years, mate, haven't we? And I said yous have needed an out-and-out number 9 or extra cover for Antonio when he has. I think Antonio's played the best part of the last 2-3 seasons on his own up front. And obviously Scamacca, like a lot of players in the Premier League, it takes a while to settle. But I've been very surprised that I haven't seen, when I have watched his in Europe as well, or in the Prem this season, I've done a couple of watch-alongs, and I don't know why you haven't started Scamacca. Like, yeah, and he knows English anyway, so that's not an issue. So something that has been branded with Darwin Núñez, he doesn't understand a word of English, especially when you are coming to Liverpool. Certain people might need a translator. But yeah, no, in terms of Scamacca not getting used, mate, and utilised in the right areas, I would even love to see West Ham go to a 4-4-2 or just get 2 strikers up front and just try and express themselves even more, because you have got the quality. Declan Rice, I absolutely love him. Spoke to you in the past, mate, about him. Jared Bowen, probably, when we spoke about Liverpool's players underperforming, I'm not too sure if Bowen's been injured this season, but something's been off in terms of him.
Yeah.
We all know how good his qualities are, and we've seen that last season. So yeah, mainly Moyes really utilising his players to the advantage, really, in terms of, is it Cornet as well?
Yeah.
Did we sign him from Burnley? Is he still there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah. So even when he's coming, I anticipated him to get a bit more game time. I thought he would have personally stretched you as a team, give you that outlet out wide as well, especially when Benny, in terms of this season, I think I've been watching your videos, mate, and a lot of West Ham channels. He's probably been hit and miss, really, and he's got a lot of qualities. But I think the injuries at the back, mate, the new lad that he did sign didn't help when he got injured within the first week. Agardo is this sort of like
that's the man, yeah.
Yeah, so I think you need a bit more quality in your squad, and I think that is like with Liverpool, mate. We've been very fortunate, Liverpool, that we have got Darwin Núñez, because we would be literally relying on kids anyway in terms of the forward line. But yeah, I think you just need a bit more quality. There's a lot of quality already in your squad, but I think it helps massively if you just have that extra 1 or 2 players either in your defence or your midfield, just so you can rotate. You've probably watched Liverpool, mate, and the rotation. That's one thing that has been branded at Liverpool being too predictable, and I think potentially that could be questioned in terms of West Ham's. To be unpredictable helps when you have a lot of rotation within your squad, mate.
I agree. Everything what you just said there, I 100% agree with you. With Scamacca, he has come into the fold at West Ham. He's only come in since the international break. Since the international break, he started every game in the Premier League for West Ham. And West Ham fans have been crying out for Scamacca for a long time. And Paqueta. I think Paqueta got more of a start because of the price tag. And listen, he's a top player, and we will get onto the players shortly. But since Scamacca's come in, we have looked a lot better in attack. We're not really taking our chances as such, but we are making a lot of chances, which it's when you're not making the chances, that's when I would worry. But West Ham are making a hell of a lot of chances, but just not getting them, putting them away. And we are going to give a team a good hiding soon. I can feel it coming the way, just the way we're playing. With Moyes and with the players, it has been very 50-50. Like the first sort of 6-7 games up until the international break, West Ham were poor in my opinion. Like very poor. Like certain games we just let go, and against Tottenham at home, second half we completely destroyed them in the second half, and we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Now, going up to Liverpool, I looked at a stat the other day. Liverpool haven't lost a home game in 5.5 years with fans in there, which is pretty unreal, to say the least. For me, going up to Liverpool, it's always a tough test. But I just think if West Ham can just hold out, get to half time, and then try and do something in the second half, for me, that's where I could see West Ham causing a lot of problems. But then saying that, every time we've gone to Liverpool, last season was 1-0. The season before that was, I think it was 2-1, with 2 goals from Jota, I think it was. And the season before that was 3-2. So it's always been a very tight game in Liverpool. Jack, I'm going to get to this thing here. Klopp versus Moyes. What do you make of David Moyes at West Ham? Like, do you think West Ham are at a stage where Moyes has probably took us to a level where West Ham can't go any further?
It's a good question, mate. Very good question. I've probably spoke to you in the past about this, haven't I, mate? In terms of European football, I was watching literally because a good mate of mine, mate, as well. I got quite a lot of West Ham mates, and I was hoping you progressed in Europe last year as well. I've enjoyed it watching. Yeah. Yes and no, mate. I think when we had Brendan Rodgers, yes, he got second in the league, but it was Suarez and the quality within that squad. And we're seeing what he's doing with Leicester now. I think he's massively... people talk about Rodgers. I think he's got too much praise really for my liking. He's a decent manager. I mean, mid-table team, yes. And I think with Moyes, we've seen it at United as well. I think when he had that opportunity to bring players in a certain type of quality, when you're a manager of Manchester United at the time, he literally had the whole checkbook in front of him. He could have signed anyone in world football. And I think it's something similar. I can't see him getting the best out of a Paqueta, even being honest. I don't think he's his style of player. I get Paqueta's quite a big physical frame, got a lot of quality, and watch a couple of national sides as well. And when he plays for Brazil, he's phenomenal in that midfield 3 or midfield 2 pivot, whatever he play. But yeah, mate, I think certain managers have ceilings, and it's the harsh reality. I've even branded a Pochettino as well. In terms of him, the fact that he couldn't win the French league title with all those players in Ligue 1. And I think Moyes is similar. He's a decent manager, probably 10th to 6th or 7th place. I don't think he's got that quality. I think the one thing, mate, when I've watched you over the last 2 seasons, it was the fact that he was so close to getting top 4 over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And
it was just that matter of getting 1 or 2 players, as I mentioned, into the football club. I don't know if that's in relation to the board or the manager as well.
Certain games, though, Jack. Like I agree with you. Like when I look at the last 2 years, I won't say last year as such, but the year before, like through COVID and through the pandemic, West Ham had a golden opportunity to get in that top 4. Literally, like all the teams around us were folding. Arsenal weren't the team. Tottenham were nowhere to be seen, really. And West Ham had a moment where, for us West Ham fans, we was dreaming of Champions League football. Now, I've always said when the big boys sort themselves out, which they do eventually, they go through like a period where basically no one can touch it. No one can get even close to that top 4. And I think what it is with a lot of West Ham fans is the stubbornness of Moyes. Like I think a lot of West Ham fans have looked at Moyes and said he's a very, very stubborn man, and he does things where you just think, why? Why don't you let such and such play, or why don't you let sort of give him a go? Or do you know what I mean? It's very sort of always sort of predictable to a point. Don't get me wrong, he's done amazing for West Ham, and we're forever holding for that. But I think it's the stubbornness that some people do get frustrated with.
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate. I was just thinking then, he was absolutely hit the nail on the head in terms of what that requires tomorrow, mate. You probably watched that, I don't know, a match of the day or something, Brighton come to Anfield. They played football. Like, if you can play football or express yourselves as a football team, even teams when they play City, mate, teams roll over against City half the time. And don't get me wrong, they're a world-class football team. But it seems that everyone's playing their Champions League game when you play Liverpool, and quite rightly, the history of the football club and everything. But you've most definitely got the quality within your squad, as I've alluded to really come to Anfield and obviously try and play football with the likes of Liverpool and City. It's risky, but nothing stops you from having as you said, a 20, 30-minute period to just try and keep hold of possession and just move up the pitch gradually. It doesn't have to be an instant, even trying. But as he said, I 100% agree with you. He's very stubborn. And even if it was a case of if he wants to play a 20, 30-minute period tomorrow night at Anfield, which is possible, especially if Liverpool don't get that early goal. And that's one thing that I'd probably say to every opposition fan and news watcher as a neutral. If you can shut up shop in terms of first 20, 30-minute period at Anfield, the crowd will rightly so get frustrated. The players then get frustrated. I don't know if you've seen the Palace game, mate, but I went to that game and it was an absolute shocking performance. And if it wasn't for Luis Diaz's bloody mad goal anyway, that was a Darwin Núñez incident when he got sent off as well. And certain things happen. And as long as you take your chances, as you said, this season, mate, in terms of your chance creation, it's been quite poor. But yeah, I'd agree with you there, Moyes, mate. Because I think you've got resources at the club. You're situated down south as well. So that is a massive attraction really to a lot of the clubs and even a lot of players, in terms of Paqueta. I think he wants to come to London, the capital, and really put his stamp on, especially in the Premier League as well. And obviously representing West Ham with a rich history anyway that's got. So I think this year will be massive for David Moyes, mate, considering the outlay in certain areas that he has had. And if he can't get the best out of those players, then, of course, there's going to be question marks asked.
I agree, mate. I agree. I think this year is a big year, especially with the amount of money that we spent in the summer. West Ham don't drop £170 million out of it just don't happen at West Ham United Football Club, and I've known that for all my life. Jack, Klopp, what's going on with him, mate? Get sent off at the weekend. Should be sitting in the stands, but he's going to be sitting in the dugout tomorrow. What's going on?
I like that. I think all of us do, and I think if you'd asked you about Moyes, mate, just show a bit of passion, really. I think all of us, if we played Sunday League and all that, of course, and Jurgen Klopp rightly come out in his interview and apologised. Really, he knew he was in the wrong, and I think all of us do. But I think all of us have seen the decisions over the last couple of seasons with certain referee performances. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be pinpointing referee performances. Liverpool, quite frankly, been poor this season. Shouldn't be relying. If you go into a game relying, unless it's like a big, massive error, then fair enough. But I think if you come out with it, that's when you know you've played poor, when you're relying on the referee. But yeah, it's been. I think this season's been really difficult for them, and as I'll get onto the formation as well. For me personally, when I've been doing my post matches this season, as I said, and this stems back to what I said in terms of Liverpool being too predictable in certain games and certain moments within a game. The substitutions in the early stages of the season were really poor, but we've kind of tweaked it. We've went to a 4-4-2. 4-2-3-1, and accustomed to a more or less a 4-3-3 over the last 3 to 4 seasons. And I think Klopp, we had that madness in terms of the window. Everyone and the Nan knows Liverpool need much better midfielders. Didn't get them. Went out and got Arthur Melo on loan from Juventus, and he's absolutely crocked already. Typical. I don't know what our medical staff do of these players, saying that our training ground is supposedly on a witch site anyway, so that's probably why. So that stems from obviously Jurgen Klopp. I do love some of his comments anyway. Some of them, you as a neutral may probably go, "What are you on about, Jurgen?" And he does love a good moan, like a lot of managers.
I think
do,
what it is with him though, Jack. I think some people just look at him and go, because what he's done to turn Liverpool around. And listen, this is me looking as like a football fan. Yeah,
we were poor.
When I look at what he's done with Liverpool, from like 30 years, they hadn't won a trophy, to go there to sort of build them up. They haven't really spent a lot of money. And what they have spent, they've signed good players at the right times. Like they got their players. They got Van Dijk at a perfect time. They got Mane at a perfect time. Even Robinson from Hull. No one really picked up him at Hull at all, and they went there, got him out of Hull, and they built a side. I think for me, I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but our Liverpool fans are a bit on the edge within that. Like, because he's been there for so long, and it's like the 7-year itch thing. Where is he going to start thinking, like, he's took them as far up, and what else can he do? He's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, he's won everything with Liverpool, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
For me, mate, the man could literally finish for the next 3 seasons outside the top 4. Because as you said, the fact that he's galvanised large sections of the football club, he's got the right people in the right areas. And the recruitment for not just Liverpool, but for a lot of teams over the last 5 to 10 year period has been an absolute disgrace. In terms of even you look at Manchester United spending it on absolute dross. Yes, you've got all that money, but to spend it on absolute rubbish. Liverpool, before we had Jurgen, we had Rodgers. Yeah, he's got 1 or 2 bad players, but the massive Liverpool have had money. Don't get me wrong, in the last 5 to 10 year period, but we've spent it poorly pre-Jurgen Klopp. And as you said, mate, that's the massive factor in terms of him getting the right people in the right place. And it's every manager's going to go through a tough period. But what I didn't want, mate, and don't know if you picked up on it from the point of view of it being a rival anyway, he looked very down in the last couple of weeks before we've got this result as well. And it's understandable. You're managing West Ham or Liverpool or any team in the Premier League or any club around Europe that's got big expectations. It's going to absolutely zap the life out of you. And you see where certain managers come to a club and they've gone grey or they've lost their head and it looks like they've took about 20 years off them anyway. But yeah, I think he himself has been frustrated. And what I didn't want to be in the next year or two was Jurgen Klopp being... I want Jurgen to have the best resources and most importantly, I want him to have the best opportunity to win trophies. And Jurgen Klopp quite rightfully riled the 3 clubs that have got a lot of money, a lot of oil, most importantly, around European football with the comments. And he absolutely triggered them all but it was more or less saying that the 3 clubs in Europe that have got the most money, their resources are unlimited. And we're going to be seeing, and it's going to be even more difficult for West Ham, mate, as we've alluded to. In the next 5 to 6 years, 10 years, it's going to get even harder to get into the top 4, top 6 with Newcastle United as well. So they're going to be, yes, they haven't spent a lot of money. They went and got Isaac, but the money they will have and whatever way they get.
I think what it is with Newcastle is they're biding their time. What they're doing is they're working their way up to a point of, say, for instance, they finish 7th this year, then next summer they will go heavy and go, right, we are in Europe, so we've got funds coming in from Europe, and then they'll push them up. That is the fear with me with West Ham, that West Ham don't get left behind in that sort of melee of like money. But I will say one thing: we have got an investor at the club who is looking to probably take over the club in 2023, and he's a Czech billionaire. He's got money. He hasn't got as much money as the oil barons of all around Europe, all around the world, but he has got money. Daniel Kaczynski, and for me personally, I think he can take West Ham up to that level. It's just whether or not West Ham can get to that level before others get to another level. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's very polarising, the money side of it. I will say that. Jack, moving on to this, is main threats and key players. We will go for the starting lineup. Be interesting to see what you think the starting lineup is going to be for Liverpool, because I can probably roughly pick the West Ham starting lineup depending on probably 1 or 2 players. So take it away on your starting lineup for Liverpool, mate.
I'm gonna go with Ali in goal. Milner, as we've already alluded to. Trent, I'm hoping he's in the starting 11, but I don't want to be risking him. He's at 50-50, so I'll go with Milner, right back, mate. Then I go Joe Gomez, right centre back. Virgil van Dijk, left centre back. Andy Robinson, absolutely flying against City. And then I think with the formation, it does differ. It can be either a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. So I go with the 2 central midfielders. That would be Fabinho and Thiago Alcantara. Then I'll go with Carvalho, the young lads that we signed from Fulham. in the window. He'll be playing left-sided midfield anyway, left central attacking midfielder. Then I go with Bobby Firmino behind Darwin Núñez, obviously up front, and then Mohamed Salah. But it could potentially be Salah up front, and then we play Harvey Elliott potentially. But I go with Fabinho, Thiago, then with Bobby Firmino in that floating role, Carvalho on the left, Salah on the right, and then Darwin Núñez for the middle mid.
So Milner's key for me, but I will get onto that shortly. I think the team West Ham tomorrow is going to be Fabianski in goal. I've got a feeling West Ham are going to play 5 at the back. I really do. I see it the other day. I wasn't happy with it, but I could understand it in this game against Liverpool because Liverpool are going to be more attack-minded. The problem is, if we have got Zuma back, then I'd like us to go to a 4. If he's not back, it goes to a 5, and it could be Krafal, Ben Johnson, Kehrer, Cresswell, and Emerson as a 5. Yeah, they're all sort of left back and right backs, but they're all combined. If Zuma comes into the equation, it'd be Zuma and Kehrer. Right back, it'd be either Ben Johnson or Krafal, and then left back, it'd be Cresswell. So it's very much if Zuma can get back in time, then West Ham, you'll see 2 different systems. Now, if Zuma does come back, we play a 4-2-3-1. That'd be the back 4. Thomas Souček and Declan Rice will go together as a 2-man sort of midfield. Then the front 4 will be Bowen, Paqueta. Personally, I think on the left-hand side, up against sort of Milner, who will be on the sort of right, it's got to be Benrahma. It has to be Side Benrahma. If it is anyone like Fornells or anything like that, I don't get it. I really don't. Then up front, it will be Gianluca Scamacca. So, Jack, let's get into it. James Milner. So for me, as a West Ham fan, that is the man that West Ham have got to target tomorrow if we're going to do anything in this game. Yeah. He had a good game against City. Don't get me wrong, but I think pace, and he loves to tackle. If you can attack him, then is he your weak point for you?
I'll take the whole season in context, mate. You've probably watched a couple of Liverpool games or Match of the Day, or he's probably in chat as well. It depends, especially when Liverpool, pre the City game this season, everyone knows around Europe, if Liverpool's midfield press, that's what makes our system. But if our midfield doesn't press within certain games, we can literally get open like quite easy. And Milner, as you said, mate, even if it is Trent, you could probably have the same arguments anyway. I know whether it's the easy arguments, but in terms of Trent going forward, he's so strong. But of course, as we see with Napoli and certain other games this season, a lot of teams have very much identified that right-hand side. And that's probably coincided not just James Milner, but in terms of Joe Gomez, Matip, and Canate. The right centre-back, we've changed heavily quite a lot this season. But Joe Gomez, if he plays like that, I don't think we'll have any issues really in terms of he was an absolute phenomenon against Manchester City, because if Joe Gomez, if he plays like that and he stays fit, he's on a plane to the World Cup. For me, he's him and John Stones are England's best 2 by a bloody country mile, 2 best centre-halves that we have to offer anyway. But yeah, 100%, mate, identify down that right-hand side. But as I said before, mate, it's if David Moyes risks, if he goes with 5 at the back. But I think if you play an extra attacker, extra midfielder or forward, then I think that's where the opportunities will arise in terms of having those spaces in the wide areas and just getting that extra midfield runner, i.e. Paqueta or Benny, getting into those spaces, and even Jared Bowen. So, yeah, I think there is the weakness down Liverpool's right side, but that is due to the system, really, in terms of how we play.
Yeah. I think if Benrahma plays, now, I've backed Benrahma up for a long time. I will say that. I've backed him up for a long time. Recently, he's been very hot and cold, and I can understand it from the fan base. The fan base are very 50-50 with side Benrahma, but I do think if Benrahma attacks Milner, I think he can get the better of him to a point. I'm not going to say that's the only thing, because if West Ham do go to a 5 at the back, that chucks Benrahma at the window, and West Ham are going to set up, like a sort of 5 at the back defensively, 3-4-3 as in attack. So it'd be Scamacca, Bowen, and Paqueta as a 3-man sort of rotating around. What do you see in West Ham that you think you can exploit, in your opinion, Jack?
Probably some of the injuries, mate. I'm not too sure 100%. So obviously, Zuma, I spoke to you last season, mate, as well. I love Zuma. I think he needed to leave Chelsea in terms of getting the opportunities. And it's just a shame that he's got injured. In terms of his on-field displays, really, he's got a lot of quality. And I think he's got a lot of quality to give to West Ham. As I said, would have been interesting with the new lad. Him getting injured hasn't helped. So I think David Moyes ideally probably would have liked Zuma alongside the new lad that you got in the summer. But yeah, he offers experience, your defence as well. I really do like Kufal. I don't know how he's been performing this season, but when I have watched him, even the draw that he's had against Manchester City, I was fuming. I was buzzing. I was doing a watch along. He was winning against Manchester City last season, but it wasn't to happen. Lovely own goal by him. I think it was a Kufal that put it in the back of the net against City, but I rate him. But in terms of I've been disappointed with Souček in terms of midfield. I don't know. I was there for this very first game for West Ham at Anfield all those seasons ago. I think it was the game where Naby played on that left-hand side. I think we won 4-0. But within the first 20, 30 minutes, he really imposed himself. It was like, bloody hell, who's this lad? 6'3", 6'4", big Premier League, fitted the model of a typical Premier League midfielder. But for me, I'm a bit disappointed that he hasn't really kicked on in terms of just him and Declan Rice. The combination play in the early years when they played was really good. But yeah, Scamacca intrigues me, mate, in terms of how he's going to be playing. Is Antonio injured, mate? Or is he?
Antonio's there, but what it is now, the West Ham have got like Scamacca, which is right. He's right, really.
Yeah. So yeah,
for me,
it's the defense like really impresses me, mate. Over the last couple of years, that's one thing that David Moyes does get right, mate.
I will say one thing. Now, you mentioned Antonio. See, I wouldn't even mind it tomorrow if Antonio played on the left-hand side, like winger, and had a go at Milner. Like, if it ain't Saïd Benrahma, I could openly look at it and go, right, at least Moyes is going for this game. Because one thing I will say with David Moyes is he does not do well away from home against the Big Six. He hasn't won a game against them in his, his career, I think. I might have that wrong, but away from home, he just does not perform. Now, I agree with you. Thomas Souček hasn't been putting up any trees this season. Jared Bowen started to turn it on a bit now, though. I will say that. Before the international break, he was dreadful. He comes back from the international break, and I think that international break where he didn't play a game for England, kicked him up the arse, and he's just gone. I think he scored 3 and 4 now. Now he's back in amongst it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see. Jack, if you could pick one player out of West Ham's team before I move on to predictions, who would you like to see in a Liverpool shirt?
Oh, I've spoken to you. He's done so many shows over the years, but you know I'm going to pick the big man in midfield, Declan. I love him, mate. I know a lot of people don't really rate him outside of West Ham. Well, in terms of when I've spoken to him, like, you're mad. Like, I think he offers so much, and he's still quite a young lad. But what I love most about him, and I was watching that Europa League game, was it last season or the season before, when he was in the tunnel, giving absolute stick to the referee. It's good that, like, you want your players to have at least characters, really. You need that in a squad.
Cares, I agree with
you. He really gets the club. Obviously, he's been at West Ham for a very young age as well. So, yeah, I love him, mate. The way he carries himself in a game, leaves everything on a football pitch. And it's very, especially in the modern era of footballers, you do look at certain players and you're like, what are you doing? You see them on TikTok dancing in changing rooms, i.e. all those Man United lot. And it's like, they just don't care, like, honestly. And I think he'd be a very much a Jurgen Klopp type player. He'd run through a brick wall forward, but most importantly, his on the ball and his off the ball movements as well. I think he's a phenomenal player. Whoever gets him, Obi, from your point of view, obviously you want him to stay, and I think he will. He loves West Ham, but I think I'd be very disappointed if he left for anyone other, especially in the Premier League, other than Liverpool and City. Because I think if he goes to any other top team, Arsenal wasted, not going to win anything really, as much as they think they are this season. Go back to celebrating top 4 for like 15 years. Chelsea, yes, but yeah, I hope he stays in terms of West Ham, mate, because I think he's got a bright future, and mainly just to build his his rapport really in England, especially at a national level. I think when he doesn't play, I think we England on an international stage really miss him.
I will be honest. I totally agree with what you just said there about Declan, about either Liverpool or Man City. I really, really do. I think I think West Ham fans have come to the conclusion that this year could be the last year with Declan Rice before we might have to get rid of him. Yeah, some fans might not admit that, but I do believe that this is the reason why West Ham spent a lot of money this summer, because they know next summer Declan could possibly go. Do I want him to go? Never. I don't want him to leave West Ham. I think he's the driving force of where we are at present. But the lad's got massive ambitions, and I don't blame him for wanting to go and do them ambitions. I do agree with you though, Jack. Liverpool or Man City. If he went to Liverpool or Man City, it wouldn't bother me. If he goes to somewhere like Manchester United, and this is no like biased or hatred towards these clubs, if he goes to Chelsea or Manchester United, for me, that is just, where's he going? Like, what's he trying to achieve there that he can't achieve anywhere else? Because I don't see Manchester United winning anything anytime soon. And Chelsea are a work in progress. I think if you go to Liverpool or Manchester City, within 3 years, you're going to win something of significance. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's 100% what Liverpool need, mate. Sorry there, mate. It's 100% what we need, mate, as I was saying to you before. Yeah. In terms of midfields, our midfield's absolutely crocked. We get injuries left, right, and centre. Thiago's, I think we're losing Milner at the end of the season. His contract ends. Ox contract ends, thank God. Naby Keita as well, and Thiago's contract ends in about 2 years. Hopefully, we do renew that. But our midfield is getting really old now, and Henderson, I think, will eventually replace Milner's position in the squad. But he would 100%. As much as pain news, but I think if he did come to Liverpool, he'd thrive in our system. 100%. I think he'd do fantastic. Just have him in that 6, or even just slightly ahead of him, a DM or something, where he can just get forward a bit more, because he can get forward if you give him the space and the license. Especially if he knows he's got players behind him like a Van Dijk or whatnot. But yeah, mate, as I said, I think we've had that in the past, where we've known that we've got certain money coming in. We've spent the money. But the most important thing, as I spoke to you last season, mate, was who gets that 100 million or 150 million, whatever it is, for Declan Rice. Most importantly is what that money gets spent on. It needs to be sustained quality. When you are losing a player of that quality, you need to replace it with either better quality in certain, whether you spread that cost over 2 players, 250 million, 260 million pound players. You need to really spend it in the right areas, because with the owners could go in their back of their pockets, as they have done for the best part of the last very long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, if I was picking a Liverpool player, it had to be Virgil van Dijk. Arguably the best defender in the world, in my opinion. I think he's top drawer. When he's on it, he's very, very good. He's been a bit inconsistent this year for you boys. I will say that in certain aspects, but overall, with what he has done with his Liverpool career, for me, Virgil van Dijk, I'd happily have him in a West Ham shirt all day long. Obviously, there is other players. I do like Diaz. Don't get me wrong. I think Diaz is an excellent signing. You nabbed him from us in January. We was going to go in for him, and you got in there before and got him out of Porto, I think it was. I do like Diaz. I must admit, I think Diaz is an excellent player. Obviously, Salah speaks for himself. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for me, Van Dijk is the man. But this is the final part of the show, and it's predictions time. Jack, what are you expecting tomorrow? And give me your prediction, mate.
Going to go 2-1 to Liverpool, mate. I'm not going to go something stupid because, as I said at the top of the show, we've been really inconsistent. I'd happily take a 1-0 again, mate. Clean sheet would be nice, but yeah, it's going to be another difficult game, as we've already discussed tonight, mate. We'll go over 2-1, Salah goal, and hopefully Darwin Núñez. I know a lot of Liverpool fans, especially on Twitter, some of the stuff. The man doesn't even know a word of English. But he just needs to get his head up half the time. Like, it was a simple pass across. You probably watch as a neutral. It's pass it to Salah. Something simple. But I think when the penny drops with Darwin Núñez, I think the penny will drop and he'll start getting goals. But when I go 2-1, mate, I'm hoping it's by a bigger margin, but not going to be disrespectful because we've been poor and West Ham got the quality players to very much danger Liverpool.
I do fear this game. I do, because I know that if Liverpool do get going, they can bang in 3 or 4 against us. West Ham ain't that sort of team that they once were, though. I will say that. We don't really go down getting hammered like we used to. Do you know what I'm saying? Excusing the pun. But I do believe tomorrow, if we can stay in the game, we can get something out of this game. Like a draw. I don't think we can beat you at your gaff because you just don't lose there. You ain't lost there with a crowd in 5.5 years. And I'll be very, very shocked if West Ham went there tomorrow and got the win. Like, I will say that. But I do think we can get a draw at the game. I think if West Ham can stay in the game, if West Ham are going to get anything out of this game, we have to score first. I think if Liverpool score first, then we will have to come out, and then that is just perfect for them just to keep hitting us on the break and probably make it even more of a defeat. So my heart is saying 1-1, but my head is saying 2-1 to use, and saying that Hughes will come out the block, score, maybe score another one, and then we will peg one in, but it's just going to be too little, too late. But it all depends on the system. If West Ham set up 5 at the back, I think we're just allowing Liverpool just a matter of time before they score.
That's one thing. Sorry there, mate. But that's why when we spoke about Moyes playing on the front foot, you've all probably watched Liverpool or Match of the Day and everything. Like, if they conceded again, I think we've ran out of time. Like, the amount of times Liverpool this season, especially at home even, we've conceded so many times. I think the City game was one of the very first games, which feels like in a very long time that Liverpool haven't conceded first. And we all joke about it, and it's like, oh, it just makes your life so difficult. And especially as we spoke about the anxiety in the crowd as well, if Liverpool were to go 1-0 behind again, then that's where you can punish us. But as I said, mate, I'm going tomorrow and sing me bloody lungs out, and hopefully I'm hoping the crowd's up for it anyway, mate. We can make it as difficult as we possibly can. Anfield is when it's on song properly, and not just the European games. I think it can be one. Same with the London Stadium, mate. Even the European night, I was watching. But you could sense the atmosphere, and it was tremendous to watch. Really, the London Stadium with the crowd and everything, and just really, it's no better when the fans from any club really get behind the squad, especially it just gives the players so much a boost, especially when you're not playing the best. I think that it's very cliche in terms, but it is the 12th man for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. It'll be a good game tomorrow. I've got a feeling it will be a good game tomorrow. I think West Ham always get up for the big games, just never get the right results in the games. Hopefully that will change tomorrow. But Jack, I really do appreciate you coming on, mate, and giving me your 40 minutes of your time. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you very much, most importantly, mate, for having me on. And obviously to all the hammers that are coming down to Anfield, safe travels as well. Hopefully not 3 points for you, but hopefully you have safe travels up north anyway. And best of luck for this season, mate, as well. Speak to you very soon. Hopefully we'll get you on tonight, mate, if you are available. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you, most importantly, for asking me to come on.
I want to thank everyone who's been watching tonight also. That's been Jack. Go over and follow him on Anfield Road TV. He does really, really good watch-alongs, all different stuff over there. Proper Liverpool fan through and through. Go and back him up by subscribing to his channel. I will say that. Please do smash a like on this video also. It goes a long way. It really helps me and the lads out. And I'll be back tomorrow night, straight after the game. Will West Ham get the right result? I really do hope so. Will Jack be smiling as he always does, or will he be having some scarce tears? Who knows? But we'll find out tomorrow. Take care and all the best.
See you later.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.